Support for this program is provided by
The Women's Hospital delivers comprehensive health care to women and infants through inpatient and outpatient obstetrical, gynecologic, and education programs. The Women's Hospital, only at Deaconess.
additional support provided by Gerling Law and Toyota Indiana.
I define cheating as anything that you do that does not involve your spouse, whether sexually or even emotionally.
Any kind of connection that you make outside of the relationship that has beyond friendship bounds.
How do I define cheating? I think it's cheating is getting obviously either physical or emotional supplementary attention from anyone else. It can be both.
Well, that's a good question because a lot of people define that very differently. You know, some consider it, okay, I caught you with somebody, or here's a phone number I don't recognize.
For me, I think any time it pulls you away from the present relationship you're in, I think it can be defined as cheating.
Cheating. Wow. I guess having relations with somebody who's not your husband or wife, I guess that's more or less common, you know, the more common one.
Like, you know when you have a physical connection with someone, and I think then if you continue to pursue that, if you continue to meet up with this person knowing that you may have feelings, I think then you are overstepping the mark, and that's the beginning of a betrayal, I think.
I think emotional cheating is often harder than physical cheating, if that makes sense.
Yeah, me too.
We asked people what they wanted to talk about in terms of our television series. And there was topics, various topics ranging all across the board. And we asked them to either say yes, that they thought that was interesting, or I don't really care either way, or no, okay? And there were two topics that they said no and maybe, you know? And this was one of those topics that they said absolutely no to. So that was the one that we obviously tackled the first, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
People are uncomfortable. Let's do this.
Right. So why do you think people don't want to talk about this?
About affairs?
Yeah, about cheating and affairs.
Well, first of all, I think a lot of people suspect or know that they've been cheated on. And I think a lot of people have cheated. And in either case, there are a lot of uncomfortable feelings that are going to come up. Most of us think that going behind your partner's back and having a sexual relationship without your partner's knowledge is wrong. I mean, that's, you know, I can go play tennis with someone else. That's not my marriage vows, but my husband and I took a vow that we wouldn't have sex with anybody but each other. So if I break that vow, I've broken a promise that I actually made in front of a lot of people, and I'm going to feel bad about that. So I think there's so much guilt and shame, and whether you had the affair or whether somebody had the affair and you were the betrayed partners often feel, oh, there's something wrong with me, or my person wouldn't have done this. And so there's a lot of shame and fear, and I think that that's really why people want to avoid it. But it's such a common topic at the same time. I really am impressed that you wanted to tackle it.
How long have you known each other?
Pretty much our entire lives. Yeah. The town we grew up in, small enough that everybody knows everybody. We did go to separate schools growing up, but
we went to public.
We pretty much known each other, our entire lives.
Yeah. When did you start dating? Like 7th grade. 7th and 8th grade.
And then off and on our entire lives.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We had like a town festival that we always went to, and we like met up with each other. One night we stayed up and talked till probably...
Corn dogs.
Yeah. We stayed up in the park and talked till probably, like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And...
You got in trouble?
I got in trouble.
Even though you were in college?
Yeah.
You broke curfew?
And then after that, we got back together, and that's kind of it. Well, we got married and had Hunter that following January, and then we actually separated that May because I had found out that he had cheated on me with a girl that he was working with at Olive Garden. And so we separated, but then, I don't know, we were separated maybe, a month? Maybe?
Yeah, it was about a month.
Something like that. And then we ended up, getting back together and everything, and he moved over here with me. So like the end of 2011, fall of 2011, I filed for divorce. And
why?
There was cheating.
Again.
Yeah, over here, and then we didn't communicate nothing at all.
And we yo-yoed back again.
Yeah.
Moved back in and, swore we were gonna, do things to change things and to, figure out what we needed to do to make things right and everything like that. And then, some things as far as, I was able to switch jobs to the police department, and some things were going very, very well. But then, again, we weren't investing in each other. We weren't, I honestly, until probably within the past year or so, never realized how to be what she needed. How to actually, be a husband, how to be, a partner, and to, quit the scorekeeping, quit the, the prideful stuff of, I deserve this, this, and this, instead of, everything like that. So cycle repeated itself again. I woke up. Her mom was at our apartment, which was weird because it was morning. I said, "What do you, what's going on? You need to tell me what's going on." She said, "Not in front of the boys." And her mom just said, "How could you do it again?" And I had cheated a third time.
A lot of people think that the divorce rate is 50%. It's not. The highest our American divorce rate ever got was in the 1970s. It was 47% for first marriages. I will say, if you're in a second or third marriage, the more times you've been married, the higher the odds that you're going to be divorced again. But most people, even then, eventually wind up permanently partnered, and most married people are happily married. And even more surprising to me, whether it's marital infidelity or a really serious problem, or they just don't like each other very much anymore, if they attend to their relationship within 5 years, 87% of these folks say they're very happy together. So there's a real argument that those whom we have loved, we can love again, and that we can renew the relationship that we're in, as long as, the person isn't habitually engaging in what I call the 3 A's: addiction, adultery, abuse. And, again, lots of marriages recover from those 3 A's as long as it's not a pattern that won't be broken. Whoever's doing that has to clean up.
Just because of what I've seen from people, whenever I bring up this topic, there's like a visceral reaction to them. They get flushed or they're hurt. You could see something happen into people. With that being said, I feel like people have one of two reactions. Like, I could absolutely forgive or absolutely not. There's not a whole lot, I feel like, in between. Am I wrong by saying that? Do you see just kind of people's gut reaction, just thinking I could absolutely work through that, or that's absolutely something that's not in a value of mine, that you cannot cross, and that's not going to happen?
To my knowledge, I haven't been put in this position, so it's academic to me what I would do. But I've always thought, it's a good thing I don't own a gun. People might not survive my reaction, but would I really get violent? No, I wouldn't really get violent, I don't think. Would I really be devastated? I think I would, and I don't know if I would trust myself to get over the emotions of the devastation and move past it. I've got to say, my hat is really off to people who can do that, but it turns out that 2/3 of people do. 2/3 of couples emerge from an affair better than before.
Of course, I tried to, beg and plead and everything like that, and then moved out.
Then we went and filed, and that day we just, once we actually, signed the papers and everything, we stood outside the courthouse and held each other and cried, and it didn't feel like it was right. But I felt like there was no other option.
Our youngest birthday is about a week and a half after Christmas, and at his birthday party, this new person was there at the birthday party. So, for me, yeah, there's the pride side and the angry side of, this guy doesn't compare to me. This guy's not my kid's dad. He's not what she wants. I'm telling myself all that in my head, but then again, I'm saying, because my boys left with them that day, left with these two, with her and that guy, and I'm like, but yet he's going home in my place. And that was probably the biggest gut check moment was then. And like Brett said, the day we actually signed our papers, we just stood there and we both just stood there and cried. And it was like, this isn't right, but what else do we do?
I had dated this guy for probably, 6 months, 7 months. And it wasn't what I wanted. I wasn't happy in it, but I felt like, okay, well, this is getting me through this crappy time, so we're going to roll with it. And so here we are on this vacation, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, this is not my family, and everything about it was wrong. I hated the entire vacation. And the boys hated it too, because it wasn't with Dad, and it wasn't the four of us. So,
I remember when they came back, she said, we need to talk. And I'm thinking nothing good ever comes out of those words, ever. And, again, I had accepted, I had believed in my heart that was what she was going to come and tell me, like, look, he proposed. I told him yes. And I'm like, well, okay. The boy's got a stepdad now. And, she told me, like she said, she's like, it wasn't right. None of it was right. I didn't enjoy it. The boys didn't enjoy it. So then it was a thing of, well, what do we do now? We had that conversation because I remember the day we had to tell our boys that, we were getting a divorce. They were too young to, realize what divorce meant, but we had to tell them that, Mom and Dad weren't going to live together anymore. And in that conversation after the vacation, that was what came up. Is I can't see that look on their face again. I cannot, let alone all the unbelievable hurt, we'd caused each other, that I had, drug her through. I just remember the look on our oldest face. Our youngest was too young to really kind of know what was going on, but the look on his face was just pain, just torment, just, he had no idea. It was a confusion. It was, and like it just, I said, we can't ever let him look like that again.
So the person who's done the betraying, you basically have to do 3 things if you're in this position. The first thing is you got to tell your partner every detail that he or she wants to know. And this is really hard because everything in you, if you're the betrayer, is going to feel like, no, I'm making it worse. I'm hurting you worse. How is this making anything better? But your partner can't reintegrate his or her sense of trust of themselves and kind of reorient themselves toward the history of your relationship. What was happening Tuesday when you said you were going to the market? Were you really going there? What about that time you said that you had to go on a trip for work? Did it happen then? It's crazy making for them. What they don't know is ruining your relationship.
They need to know fact and reality.
They do.
And kind of set that right. Is that what you mean by integration? Like
Yeah.
integrate themselves, kind of separate the fantasy from facts in their head because you're creating stories.
Or the nightmare from the facts.
Okay, yeah.
Because it'll just distract them so much that they're so angry with you about everything that could have happened. And they may ask you really detailed questions. They may ask you positions, times of day, whether you use the same nickname with this partner.
Did you call me baby? That's what you call me.
Yeah.
Stab you with a fork.
Yeah. And you're not going to want to answer that, but you must. That's what the science indicates is that
But don't maybe not offer that information if they're not asking for it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. I did hear from one woman where she caught, I don't know if her husband wanted to be caught, if it had just finally, after all the years of cheating, if it had worn a hole in him in some way, but he left his account open online and she found emails between him. I think he even left one of the emails up and she asked him about it And then she started asking him details. And then as he kind of warmed to the topic, he started getting kind of excited about talking about all the affairs he'd had. Don't do that. Don't get excited about it. Don't seem enthusiastic about there needs to be contrition, but that needs to be combined with the relevant details that your partner requests, and as many details as your partner asks for. And, obviously with an apologetic tone.
If you're in fact apologetic.
Yeah, if you're not apologetic, that's going to be probably recovery from that affair isn't going to happen. If there's no level of apology there, really, it's not going to happen. So the second aspect is you've got to be sincerely sorry for what you did, and that sorrow has to translate into action, by which I mean transparency.
Okay.
You've lost your partner's trust, saying, but it's all over now, you've got to trust me? No. Trust is earned after something like this. You should not expect your partner to give you trust. You broke it, you fix it. And how you fix it is just complete transparency. I've heard from men post-affair who say, you know what, it's been a year and she has all my passwords and she's probably reading this letter I'm writing to you, and that's okay because I want her to know that I'm really being a better self, I'm being a better mate. And that's necessary, and there's no time limit on that. And then the final thing that the betrayer has to do is they have to really show that they have fully heard, acknowledged, and listened to the pain that they caused with great empathy. So if their partner says to them, I feel like I can't even trust myself anymore because there were times that I just assumed, oh, of course you're really working late. And instead you were having sex with this other person and I just feel like such a fool. I hate myself and I don't know if I can even get to how I feel about you until I work through that. The betrayer is going to have to acknowledge, and again, this is best done in a therapist's presence, you really don't feel like you trust yourself very much. I've hurt you so badly that I've even hurt your sense of trust in yourself. I'm so sorry that happened. I'm so sorry I did that. They have to take responsibility through empathizing with their partner's feelings. And I will tell you, every book and study that I've read on this topic comes to that conclusion, that without the empathy, there's no healing.
I knew that I wanted us to work, but I wanted him to be on the same page as me. And normally I felt like it was him fighting for me. This time I felt like I was fighting for him, to choose us. And so I did a lot of praying and went to the therapist and, made church kind of like my focus and, getting him back into church and everything, like both of us going to church and praying about it. And then they had a seminar. Well, I guess not a seminar, but it's with the community marriage builders. They have this class, and I remember telling him that, just try it with me, see what you like. If you like it, then we can go from there. And it was like every week for 4 weeks we went to this class, and I think I don't know. I felt like that was life-changing for both of us. It gave us a lot of tools, and it gave us things that we knew from talking to counselors before and everything, but it was different. Like, we actually applied it to our lives and actually made the choice, okay, this is what we're going to actually do.
Do you feel like it was the first time that you both equally tried?
Yeah, we actually feel like we're partners instead of just in this relationship, like
LP for life.
like trying to make this work. I feel like we matured a lot, probably within the last 1.5 to 2 years, which is what we needed. But it's actually a partnership where we help each other out. And before, it was like he said, it was always like keeping score. I did this, so and just different like key words that we don't use in our vocabulary anymore. We don't use always. We don't use never. There's just certain things, or like asking, "Are you okay?" is a huge button for both of us. Like, don't ask that question.
What do you mean, am I okay?
Yeah, because then it's like you're just gonna start a war kind of a thing. And so we just chose to not do those things anymore.
Marriage can really suck if you're selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my thing. Like, it was, I wasn't happy with me. I wasn't happy with the way things were, and I was extremely selfish, with everything, with my time with the boys, even when we were together. I'm just extremely, extremely selfish, and that was the thing that, once I think you kind of shift that focus to, hey, how can I be, better for this other person, for her.
There's still days I have bad days and I have doubts, and I think that's always going to be there. But now, I think since we had those classes and realizing like different techniques and different ways that you can talk to each other, that's helped me a lot, because I feel like I can actually voice that to him, whereas before it would have been a huge fight if I would have brought anything up. And now it's not a thing of I'm using it, as a weapon. I'm using it as, okay, well, this is the doubt that I'm having. This is why I'm having it, and then he gives me that reassurance back. Whereas, I would let it sit and fester for time and time and time, and then all of a sudden it would blow up, and now I feel like I can actually like bring that out. So, I definitely think those classes helped. I think love languages helped, 5 love languages. That was incredibly beneficial to us.
I think there's every reason for hope. Again, given everything we've talked about, most marriages come back better than before from this. This is certainly a very painful thing that people go through, but many of them go through it and they come out better on the other side.
I appreciate you doing this, getting it set up, talking with Stacy and getting it all together. I know that, like we talked, I know it brings out a lot of pain, and it hurts. It hurts hearing you talk about those things. It hurts, reliving them and, having that stuff out there. But I appreciate it because, like we talked about, if somebody going through something or, they're in where we've been or even where we are now, if it can help them, I think it's worth it. I just appreciate you being strong. And like I said, I know it hurts. And we talked about a lot of stuff today, from our relationship, personal stuff that hurts. And, I appreciate you going through that. Appreciate letting me go ahead and take the boys to school and everything, because I haven't been able to do that this week. So I just appreciate that extra time with them.
I appreciate you doing this today and knowing that you're exhausted and had off duty and everything yesterday, but still doing it. And I know that we didn't start off the greatest this morning, but getting back on track. And just the little text messages between us, in between me going to the doctor and you taking the boys to school and stuff, and just kind of resetting us, and still doing this and putting it all out there and everything. 'Cause like you said, it's not a very positive experience of our life, and it is hard and kind of going through those emotions all over again and everything. But knowing that we've grown from it and that it's made us who we are today, and we wouldn't be here without all of those experiences. And then I appreciate you venting to me this morning about, everything at work, and, not letting it sit on you, and, getting that off your chest so that, you can move on and have a better night tonight and everything. That's it.
Have you ever been cheated on?
Yes, I have.
Have you forgiven him?
I had to. Because you carry that with you. If you can't find peace with what happened in your past, you can't move forward at all.
I have been cheated on, yes. I had to forgive them in order to move on for myself. Not necessarily because I thought that they were sorry, but the forgiveness was more for me to be at peace with it.
If one of you cheated on the other person, could you forgive?
Well, this is something that is very hard for me, because my heart, I would really want to forgive, but I know my person, I know me, bring it up. And there you go. I would, it would be on my mind constantly. So I would love to say, yes, I could forgive you, and I would love to say, let's move forward. But I think I would end up destroying the relationship.
I have been cheated on. I have never cheated. You can survive cheating. But you have to work, you have to be in the right place, and you have to be willing to face your own inadequacies, your own weaknesses, the way you are at fault yourself, even if you didn't cheat.
Somebody wrote to me and said, and I think she said this because she was a child of parents where there was an affair in that marriage.
Okay.
And the mom had been really bitter about it and very open about it. And unfortunately, telling your kids about your affair is not that great an idea.
No.
It's, it's hard to find where the boundaries are with our children, especially as they grow up. But what this person had gotten from that admission of her mother's was that you can never trust a man, any man. And she said, well, if everyone's just going to cheat, what's the point? Can I ever trust anyone? And I said, well, okay, first of all, it is true that the affair rate for men is about 10% higher than for women. It's also true that most married people stay faithful.
Support for this program is provided by
The Women's Hospital delivers comprehensive health care to women and infants through inpatient and outpatient obstetrical, gynecologic, and education programs. The Women's Hospital, only at Deaconess.